It's a beautiful rainy day in the winter of Massachusetts, and today is the day that we are going to start recording our magical girls, and I'm about to go and pick up Rayanne, and then we're gonna head over, and I'm really excited. I think this is gonna be an amazing, fun, crazy experience teaching our moms how to play Dungeons and Dragons. So
my name is Kathy, and I am Allison's mom. That's the most important thing. I live in Swansea with pretty much everyone else, and I know nothing about this game.
My name is Kathy as well. I can be Kathy with a C. My interests are very community oriented. I tend to bring people together all the time, and I reached out to my 60-year-old group of people and thought, gee, you want to do this? And they were like, what is it? And I couldn't answer that. So I'm looking forward to learning.
But it was sometime the end of 2019 last year, and we really wanted to do more stuff that's just for fun. But I thought that it would be really cool if our moms might want to play Dungeons and Dragons with us, because we don't.
I love being outside. I love gardening. I love anything to do with nature. I'm retired. What I did previously, I worked in a lab. I love biology. I love anything related to science.
So what do you like to do for fun?
Dance and just go out, and I'm still in my brain. I'm still in my 20s, so I'm following groups that a lot of music, and I like bringing people together more than anything. That's my thing.
Our moms were both open to it, interested, and so we set it up to teach them. And so what we want to do is have them, and then bring in other girls who've never played Dungeons and Dragons to learn how to play and to play together. And what do you know about Dungeons and Dragons? I know you said you looked online and stuff, but what do you know about it?
Not a lot. It's a little overwhelming, knowing nothing about how the game goes. I remember you and your brother playing it when you were like 8, and I wasn't interested then, and probably never have done this if you hadn't reached out to me. But I think it's a little overwhelming when you look at the classes of the elves and the fairies and the bards, I guess, and I'm in subcategories and taking on different characteristics and having powers and all that stuff.
I know that it is a type of role-playing game,
Right.
Where you are a character with certain abilities.
Right.
You can change, you kind of direct the story, the characters direct which way the story is going to go.
Right.
That's about it.
That's it.
That's it on a blank slate.
Awesome.
I have no idea, but I know it will be fun.
Okay.
I think it's going to be creative, because I think your character, you can change the game as you go along and create different things, create your own unique character.
My name's Allie. I am the dungeon master for this group, which means I have the most experience here. However, one of my specialties is leading new players into Dungeons and Dragons, so I hope that will be some use with these wonderful ladies here. So I'm the master of lore of Mastermind Adventures, but I also do freelance and contract writing. I'm a best-selling author in the DM's Guild, so I've done several different, I've written several adventures and other books like that. The Uncaged series is probably the biggest one that I'm a part of, but I've been part of the Book of Seasons and Friend, Foes, and Other Fine Folks, and a bunch of other stuff that's coming up in the year that I've been really working hard on, so hopefully that'll all come out and be wonderful.
I'm Krysten Callina. I am the owner of Mastermind Adventures, and this is actually probably going to be my first Dungeons and Dragons campaign since I was probably 10. So I've played it before. I've played a lot of other games. I'm really excited about this. Allie and I are really excited about this. We've been geeking out about it for months.
Almost a year.
So I'm really excited. I'm excited to have our moms here. I can't wait to see what's going to happen, and stay tuned, I guess. Today we are doing character creation.
Character creation, yes.
Okay. And do you guys, before we get started, what questions do you have?
All the questions.
All of them.
Yeah.
How many characters are there, and how many
So there are
types of each character?
there are 12 classes. So a class is basically what it is it's a collection of abilities. So when you hear someone saying like, I play a cleric or I play a bard, that is their class. It tells you what skills you might be good in. You know, like if you're a fighter, you might get a special ability to attack twice in a turn that only fighters can do. So all classes have these groups of abilities, and then there are subclasses, sometimes they're called archetypes, which give you specialized abilities that only that subclass has. So it's kind of like
Like a specialization.
I was gonna say, it's like if you're going to college and you're like, okay, like I want to be a scientist, and you go to the school of science, and then you're like, well, I want to be a biologist. Science is your class, and biologist is your subclass. So
So I would think from what you're saying, you know, Kathy's going to have a particular character and I'm going to have, and it's going to be important for me to know what her abilities are in playing the game as well. Like I need to know what I
it depends.
Okay.
For the most part, you're going to be focused on what you have.
Okay.
Just playing together, naturally, you're going to learn each other's abilities. But you don't need to know all of the spells that the druid has memorized because it's our storytelling game. So talking and communication is very important. So this is the world, or at least the part of the world we're playing in. All of you are new applicants to a academy that focuses in magic and sorcery. So it's called the 9 Maze Academy of Thaumaturgical Arts. Like there are 9 mazes.
Because there are 9 mazes.
Yes.
Cool. All right.
So the 9 Maze Academy was founded by this woman called Labrina Goldeye. She's kind of a legendary figure. She disappeared about 2 centuries ago.
Okay.
And no one has seen hide or hair ever since. The school still does not technically have a headmaster because they're waiting for her to come back. But they're basically going on with her thing. Her deal is that she wants everyone to have a chance to be trained in magic. It shouldn't just be the people who can afford to pay for it. It should be for everyone. You guys are basically new applicants.
Okay.
You do not have to know each other, but you will be put together as a group for the entrance exam, and that's going to be our first session is the entrance exam.
Okay.
So you don't have to know each other.
Right.
You don't have to be from the same area.
Okay.
So this star right here is the 9 Maze Academy.
Okay.
It's closer to Meandro,
Okay.
which is the city right here that it seems. It's just the map abstracts it out a little bit because I had to make a cliff. But it's at the top of a very tall cliff.
Okay.
And Meandro is underneath it. Meandro is called the City of Mages. It is part of what's called the Elderglass Alliance,
Okay.
which is an alliance of 3 city-states, all of which are tied together by these these lighted, safe travel, like warded glass roads that were put there by what people call the Elders. So kind of south of Innismarsh, in this basically from where this river goes to like all of this forest here, these are the Elven lands. These kind of places are, they used to be a bigger empire. They got into a fight with the Elders who lived down here. And this was kind of their last stand, and so they just retreated back into the forest and are like, we just don't want to deal with people anymore. And then Vieira is kind of what they consider their capital. It is a walking tree. So it is a tree that has been awakened and moves very slowly through the woods. So it stays in this general area, but it kind of roams around. It can be kind of found anywhere in this area. So that's where a lot of elves live there. They kind of tend to the tree and ensure that it, remains alive, because walking trees are a lot harder to feed and water than a standard tree.
I love that. But it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like the world, I mean, you created this world, and
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
First of all, do you guys have an idea of a character that you want to play? Just in personality. You know, like, are you a happy person all the time? Are you kind of gloomy? Think about, like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about it. I know I generally, I don't know. I generally play characters just that are, you know, if I'm making a character in a video game, I usually try to make something that's somewhat close to my own decision making and personality.
Which is totally, especially since this is kind of your first game,
Yeah.
that is a valid way to play.
Yes.
Like, okay, I know I want to be like near the beach. So, I mean, I'm thinking, you said this is coastal?
Yes.
So
What kind of, do you want, like, do you want to have lived near, like, a big ruined city that is, like, you know, like crumbling walls of adamant and diamond? Or do you want to have lived in, like kind of like a shanty town, trade route thing? Or do you want to...
I like the ruins idea.
Okay.
You know, I think. I know this is unnamed.
Yeah.
But in terms of everything that you've spoken about, I know I don't want to be cold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I want to come from, I love the beach.
Okay.
So to me, something near the ocean.
Okay.
If we're developing our character based on what our desires would be in the perfect world, that would be my perfect world.
Cool. Okay. So
you're gonna be forest and you're gonna be ocean. I'm kind of like leaning towards a Shire-ish kind of
cool.
thing.
Yeah. So, what kind of, like, are you thinking, like what kind of culture are you thinking, basically?
Hobbit culture.
Hobbit? Okay, do you want to be a halfling? Like, do you want to actually have the
Sure, I can be a
legs?
halfling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
What's a halfling? All right, like
Okay.
you,
So
you
she
girls are
just
throwing out
She just
stuff.
watched Lord of the Rings with us. over
Oh, okay.
Christmas.
So-
I did.
Okay, so
wonderful.
The Shire.
the
are
races
hobbits,
in
halflings.
this are very
Shire.
similar to the races in Tolkien. So, hobbits are halflings. So, halflings
You don't want
are
those to be
basically half-sized humans.
Okay.
Okay, so where do you want to be from? Do you want to have like more of like a generic, like, I'm just a halfling, where I'm from doesn't matter, I travel, like, or...
Well, we were talking about like this kind of area.
Mhm.
That kind of makes sense to me that maybe she's from somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. You can say that there's like, I obviously don't have like roads on here, but there are roads,
Mhm.
like all, especially in the Empire, but all over here too.
Maybe the High March because then
Yeah,
I will have more
you-
contact with the
Yeah,
elves and things
travel
like that.
back and forth like that.
I like that idea.
I like that. I'm gonna write that down. Mom, you want to be from the forest?
I do, and I really like this area.
Yeah.
I love the
The walking
walking
tree.
tree. I
You want to?
love
Okay,
it.
so you want to be from Vieira?
Yeah.
The walking
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
So.
And I like the concept of they kind of all stay together
Yeah.
there, and I can relate.
Yeah, they live in so elves live in like big family groups because elves are not very fertile because they're very long lived. So like you tend to have like big family groups that are like, you know, like your great grandma and your grandma and your great uncles and your, you know, like it's a big, like you live in big family, like ancestral homes that have been there for millennia, and that's kind of what Vieira is it's a giant tree that's like just, it's got buildings all built up in it. It's lit by like, you know, like magical candle globes.
Oh, so pretty.
Yeah, oh yeah, and it travels, it walks around. You can actually talk to it because it is awakened. It just thinks very slowly. And when I say it walks, it moves slow. You can actually walk along beside it because it's a tree and it's enormous. It doesn't move very quickly. But it does move. So.
Good. Now, give me like a visualization of what an elf looks like.
Okay, so
I mean, I know they have, you know, I think of an elf with pointy ears.
Yes,
Are
so-
they big? They small? Or...
they're so generally elves. They have a little bit of like, if you took like an average size like human, like, you know, like 5'10", 6 feet, like think like an average human male. and then kind of stretch them a little bit. That's kind of what an elf looks like. Their arms are a little bit longer than is normal for their body. They're considered beautiful. Like most humans, most other races are like, yeah, elves are pretty. Like they're aesthetically pleasing. But there's also something a little bit alien about them in terms of like their eyes are a tiny bit too big, and you know their features are a little bit too perfect. Like they're so symmetrical.
Now, can I choose, I want to live here.
Yeah.
Because I really like, I like the walking.
I want to convince you. Yeah.
So I'm an elf.
You want to be an elf? Yeah.
But there's elves up here.
Yes, there are.
So can I be, now you'll have to explain again what we were talking about with Dennis, what you thought I should be or what I could be.
You mentioned a druid. And you mentioned an Eladrin. Well, I mentioned Eladrin.
That's Eladrin, yeah. So, can I be originally from here?
Yeah.
But not, I didn't like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now I've moved to the forest.
Yeah.
So what would I still be an elf?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I think
there's-
I'm going to be an Eladrin.
Okay.
Because they are still a dwarf, correct?
Elf.
Elf, I'm sorry.
Eladrin dwarves would be really interesting.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I like that.
Okay.
I really like that idea of the 4 seasons. I like how
Sounds
you
like
can
you.
change, you know, colors with the seasons.
Yep.
And I like the idea that it's kind of spontaneous.
Yep.
And, you know, maybe I was born here and people didn't know what I was all about.
Yeah.
I still don't have any idea what I want to be.
Mhm.
Like, you know, you want to be that hobbit type character, and you want to be an elf, but what are my other options?
Okay.
So I can be I could be a dwarf and a seafaring dwarf.
Well, you'd be a seafaring dwarf.
Okay,
Basically.
and that means that I can swim underwater and
Not necessarily.
necessarily.
That's just kind of like your cultural background.
Okay.
You still have the basic dwarf, like, package, as it were.
Can you show me one?
Let's see how they look.
Yeah, I gotta see. Oh.
That looks very like
Intense.
She's badass,
Strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna mess with that.
You really don't. Don't want to mess with the dwarves.
You don't want to mess with the doors.
There are actually,
Aquatic
you can be a
elf
triton.
human is what I had written down before.
which is
so-
basically an aquatic human, but they're called triton. They're not in this book, don't have them in front of me, but I can get to them very easily.
Do they walk on land?
Yes.
So
But
she's
you
saying,
can also swim and breathe underwater. Like, not breathe clearly, but I would have the ability to go underwater and.
Yeah, you would literally breathe water.
yeah, as a triton.
As a triton.
As a triton.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like you want to be something that has more of a water powers, more water.
or is comfortable
Choices.
I
in
want to
the
be
water.
comfortable
and
near the water.
Yep.
I want that.
be in the
I
water.
want to be in the water.
You
out
want to be
in
able
the
to
water.
breathe underwater.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah. So probably with the triton then for her. Yeah.
That's great.
But backgrounds are basically like what you did before you became a hero. So all of you are starting as first level characters. You're exceptional characters. You're better than the average human or whatever race you are, Triton or Elf or Halfling. But like, what did you do? What were you trained to do in your hometown? So like, what
I
kind
want
of?
to do something where.
You be a sailor. There's a sailor.
Once again, it's like what's an inherent part of me is community building,
Okay.
or I'm very kumbaya. I mean, I don't know how else to put it, but I mean, it's like accepting a lot of people and trying to have people feel comfortable, no matter what their backgrounds are.
Gathering people.
Gather.
Yeah.
That's my word this year. Gather. Yeah. It is. So I mean, if there's some thing that fits that would be easy for me to play because it's you. Me.
So there is a background called folk hero. Basically, like in your hometown, you're already considered like a champion. You've done something. You there was like a natural disaster and you saved, like there was a flood and you led the, you led the bucket brigade to make sure the orphanage didn't flood, or
That's perfect.
Like you
do that.
That sounds perfect.
That sounds
Very
perfect.
happy.
Yeah. So and the cool thing is so each background comes with a feature, and I'll get to all of the other ones. But this one is called Rustic Hospitality, which I just love. Basically, because you came from like the common folk, anywhere you go with common folk, they're like, hey, like come join us. We have some food and drink.
That is
like you're
absolutely.
You walk into a bar and everyone's like, hey, it's you. Like it's
That's it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect.
So cool.
Should we move it?
We're finding our people.
I know,
Uh, Can she be something to do with like a baker or a cook or something?
I'm okay right now.
Or coffee,
Kind of
juice.
entrepreneurial.
I'm okay.
You sure?
Yes, thank you very much.
Cooks food for people, innkeeper. Just like someone that like
We've got
the
a
stuff
skilled
that
artisan.
makes people comfortable and happy.
So we can.
Oh, an artisan?
I think you
Yeah. So basically, like you're an established you were apprenticed to like a baker.
Yeah.
That's what you intended to do with your life until whatever happened to basically lead you on the path to this academy.
Okay.
So guild artisan I think is going to be good for you.
Okay.
You can take like cooking tools as your proficiency. You can be the one who makes all the food when you go out adventuring.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna write those down so I can make sure that I have all of your stuff right. Okay, well, so now we can kind of move on to class.
Okay, so I was thinking when you were going through them that I would maybe go to the wizard, because what I want to be able to do is I want my little halfling baker to like bake potions into her things and then have it as like things that she can get like bumps to other people or bumps to myself, or sell them to others and be industrious or something like that.
And you could basically like, instead of saying that you're like brewing potions, you could be like, I'm baking cookies.
Right.
And this cookie gives you healing, and this cookie makes you poisoned.
Right.
So let me just.
I have this thing like, I just picture her having like an apron with like 100 different little pockets, and I'm I have this thing that we're gonna use, or whatever.
That is an alchemist thing.
Hey, it's very visual, like in your head, a visual game. Like you just picture this in my head.
Oh my gosh, you can make a homunculus. But you can make like a gingerbread man. Yes. Oh yes. Yeah, this is you. Okay. So you're gonna be artificer. Got that. So that's definitely, I feel like that's definitely the reason why you got sent to the school, because you were like, you were making these things. And they were like, we should probably get you trained in this before we let you make anything else.
A little army of like gingerbread men, like attacking my enemies.
I'm not a hunter, so that's out for me.
Okay.
But
Druid, maybe.
a druid maybe.
Yeah. I love druids. I think a druid would be a good fit for you. Druid, there's subclasses.
And you can turn into an animal.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a druid.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
You become the animal. I think you can also have an animal companion. There is one circle, I think, that it's like Circle of the Beast, and you get like, you can also like summon animals from like the forest and be like, birds attack! And it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I am more of a druid than a ranger.
Cool.
Bard.
I thought so. I thought so.
I struggle a little, but bard. Music, entertainment.
Oh,
Yeah.
music.
Very much like for the people, like
Yeah.
bringing people together. Making them
Kumbaya. That's me.
We found our people.
I know.
Yes.
Now, is a Triton also female, or is it always male?
There, you can be female.
It can be a
Yep.
female.
There are no gender restrictions on any of these races.
Okay.
So you can be whatever you want to be.
So now that you have made a character, what did you think of the process?
It's interesting how it all came together, and I kind of picked a person or a Triton, actually, that is similar to me. So it was fun putting it all together. A lot of information.
Do you feel better now or worse than you did before you started?
Definitely better.
Okay.
Yeah, I have somewhat of an understanding.
What do you think of? What do you feel like you have a better grasp on the world that we're playing in?
Yes.
What are you looking forward to?
Seeing how it all, how we interact, and how our characters, whether we're going to be friends or foe. Kind of interesting that we're all going to be in school together, and to me, it's a little Harry Potter-ish, and I think that helps me understand what we're going to be doing.
Okay. So, what do you think now that you've been able to create a character? Your first impressions?
It was interesting. I like my character. I like that you can pick traits that you have yourself. I mean, I guess some people don't. They might pick the opposite, but I kind of created my character according to me, and it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Do you feel like you have a better, do you feel more comfortable now than you did before we started?
Yes. I mean, I know how the game is going to change, and you can't predict what's going to happen, but I can see how it's just, I want to say made up as it goes along, but it is actually. And with Allison's guidance, we'll, I don't know what the end of the game is, but we'll find out.
Yes, for sure. What's the favorite thing that you picked about your character? What are you most excited about?
I'm most excited that she lives in the forest. I love trees, and I just love that. And I love the walking tree.
Yes.
I mean, I think I'm going to love living there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I love.
Good.